All right, let's get into it. The government just dropped its latest budget. And if you're a smart investor, you know that document is way more than just a bunch of numbers. It's basically a treasure map pointing to some huge opportunities. So let's do what we do best, follow the money.
Okay, so with all these big promises and flashy announcements, the question on every investor's mind is simple. Where's the real action? Where are the genuine opportunities? Let's break down the sectors that could really take off.
Our strategy here is pretty simple. We're just going to follow the money. We'll zero in on the key areas where all this new government spending is supposed to create the biggest impact. And first up is a really big one.
Green energy. But here's the twist. The government's focus is kind of shifting. Instead of just throwing money at a few giant, massive power plants, the new game plan is to bring this green revolution right to your own roof.
And they are not messing around. We're talking serious money here. A massive 22,000 crore rupees has been set aside just for the rooftop solar scheme. That is a huge jump from last year, which tells you this is a major, major priority. And this is a huge shift in thinking, really. Instead of those giant solar farms you see out in the desert, the government is now betting on millions of tiny installations on millions of individual homes. So why do this? Well, think about it. It makes our energy supply more secure, it cuts down on power that gets lost when you send it over long distances, and it puts power, literally, back in the hands of the people. This completely changes the investment game. Okay, so if that's the plan, who's going to cash in? Well, it's not just one company, it's the whole shebang. We're talking about the folks who make the solar panels and the inverters, the companies that supply all the cables to hook everything up, and of course the financing companies that are going to make it possible for regular people to afford it. The demand is about to spread out big time. All right, moving on, let's talk about two absolute cornerstones of the economy that are getting a ton of support in this budget: water and housing.
So, for the Jal Jeevan Mission, that's the big project to get tap water into every single home, the government has allocated a staggering 67,000 crore rupees. Now, on the surface, that sounds like a home run for any company in the water business, right?
Yeah, not so fast. Before you jump in, there's a little detail from last year that tells a very different story. And this is exactly where you have to look past the flashy headlines. And take a look at this. This tells the whole story. Last year, they announced a similar amount, but look at what they actually spent, just a tiny fraction of it. That massive gap, it proves one thing. Announcements are just talk. Execution is what actually moves the needle. Now, that's not to say it's a lost cause. If they actually get their act together this year and start spending that money, the demand will be off the charts. The companies you'll want to watch are the ones doing the last mile work. We're talking pipe makers, pump and motor suppliers, and all the little fittings and valves that are needed to connect millions of homes.
Okay, right alongside water, the government is still all in on affordable housing. With over 54,000 crore for rural areas and another 26,000 crore for cities, it's crystal clear that building homes is a top priority.
But here's the pro tip. Don't just think about the big real estate developers. For every single new house that gets built, there's an entire supply chain that gets a massive boost. Really, this is a massive win for the entire building materials industry.
I mean, just think it through. Every house needs cement for the foundation, right? It needs paint on the walls, tiles on the floor, wires for electricity, and of course, sinks and toilets. These are the guys who are going to see steady, reliable demand for years to come.
All right, our last big theme is a really interesting one. It's not about making more power anymore. It's about a much tougher problem: getting that power to people's homes efficiently. Basically, we need to stop wasting so much of it along the way.
And to get this done, they've earmarked 14,000 crore rupees for a special scheme to fix up the power grid. This money is aimed right at modernizing those old, creaky power lines.
So the main target here is something called AT&C losses. Now, what does that even mean? Simply put, it's all the electricity that gets lost because of old equipment, or gets stolen, or just isn't billed correctly before it even has a chance to power your TV. And solving that problem opens up a whole new world of opportunities. So who are the big winners here? It's the companies making smart meters that track electricity use perfectly, the ones supplying modern grid equipment, and the big engineering and construction firms, the EPCs, that will actually do the work of upgrading the grid. Okay, so we've covered the what, the hot sectors. But now for the most important part, the how. How do you actually analyze these ideas without getting caught up in all the hype? Well, here's a quick and easy checklist to keep you on track. Number 1, always look for long-term, multi-year projects, not just flashy one-off announcements. Number 2, and this is a big one we just talked about, always compare what they promised in the budget to what they actually spend. 3, you got to look at the companies themselves. Do they have enough cash on hand to actually take on these giant government projects? And last but definitely not least, don't bet the farm on one idea. Diversify. Spread your investments around.
Look, if there is just one thing you remember from all this, make it this. The market doesn't care about promises. It rewards results. The stock market ultimately pays for what companies do, not what governments say they'll do. Execution is everything.
So that leaves us with the million-dollar question you have to ask yourself. Are these big budget announcements a real, tangible opportunity for growth? Or are they just a beautiful illusion that could vanish if the work doesn't actually get done? The smart investor knows how to tell the difference.